What's up, everybody? I am Baron Baptiste. I'm here with my friend David Masters. This is the show for disrupting the drift. It's a place, a space where we can tell the truth and the truth can be told with the idea of elevating you, elevating life. David, how are you, my friend?
Fantastic and always better when I'm here with you, brother.
Please, everybody, share the show. If you get something from this conversation, please share it. We have a great show for you today. David, this article from Psychology Today, super interesting.
Yep.
It's confirming, it's also great to see that psychology is finally catching up to what a lot of us have known for a long time. And so we'll get into this article. And I'd say meditation is at the background of this. But here we go, mindfulness. If you're not your thoughts, who are you? That's the name of the article. These 5 strategies can help you connect more with your authentic self. Here's key points. We use thoughts to process information, make decisions, and understand the world, but they aren't fixed aspects of who we are. Our conscious mind allows us to observe the automatic thoughts that are based on past learning. With mindfulness, meditation, limiting distractions, journaling, and good sleep will connect more to the conscious mind. As a cognitive psychologist, I spend a lot of time talking to my clients about their thoughts. Your thoughts are extremely powerful. They are the basis of how you feel and create your life. But one of the most profound insights from the practice and teachings of mindfulness, which has been widely embraced by the field of psychology, is that you are not your thoughts. Hallelujah. Pretty good, David, huh? Good start to the article.
Amen. I love it. Yeah.
You are not your thoughts. Now, you've been talking about that for 30 plus years.
Yes.
I've been talking about it for nearly that long. The meditation practice, the exercise of meditation to get present, to let your mind catch up to your body, you suddenly start noticing, well, okay, I have these thoughts. I could watch them come and go, but I'm not those thoughts. It's a very powerful revelation. It's a revelation that can actually not only save a life, but completely alter one's life. When so many people live as though they are their thoughts, or their thoughts are an extension of who they are as a human being. And often thoughts are so nasty and negative or disempowering or dark or based in, something's wrong with you or something's wrong with them or something's wrong with life. Something's wrong is in the background of and feeling these thoughts. But when you realize, wait, I'm not these thoughts. And therefore, if I'm not these thoughts about something is wrong, then maybe then opens up the possibility that, well, maybe there's not something wrong with me. Maybe there's not something wrong with life. It's just these thoughts, these things I have. But when you can observe them, you have them. They don't have you. What say you, David?
Yeah, this is one of the most important conversations that we can have, in my opinion, because we are all drowning in thought.
Mm,
And it's almost like how turkeys look up when it's raining; they can drown just by looking up. That's us. We're a bunch
mm,
of turkeys, and the world that we live in is such an immersive experience that it's always got us looking up. There's if it isn't one thing, it's another. Thoughts and thought content is always being directed to us. And of course, we were talking before the show, through our smartphones and through our devices, we are connected to the thoughts of others. And yet at
mm.
the same time,
Yeah,
we are adopting those thoughts as if they're our own because the mind does
yeah.
not have a firewall. And so there's no way that once a thought goes in, that and after it's reinforced a few times, you begin to believe that it was your idea in the first place.
Yeah, so good. What you're pointing to is social media, right? So social, right? It's a social space, but it's all inflow, in just taking in other people's thoughts, images. They're managing perceptions, right? Of what they post, what they put out. and all the narratives, the conversations. So most of us and most people, when you start waking up, you start realizing, well, I can barely handle my own thoughts. That's a daily and ongoing practice, moment to moment to moment, not being lost in just my own thoughts. But when you start taking on a whole world of others' thoughts all day long, just consuming, you start, your cup gets too full. Yeah, you start cracking. Let me keep reading here. So, you are not your thoughts. A lot of people find this idea very confusing. How can your thoughts be responsible for your feelings and actions and not be who you are? Let's take a step back and define what a thought is. Thoughts can be defined as mental processes of the mind that involve beliefs, attitudes, images, and ideas. They can be conscious or unconscious and can range from simple to complex. Thoughts are what we use to process information, make decisions, and understand the world around us. Thoughts aren't necessarily true, right, or wrong. We can have thoughts about things that have no basis in reality whatsoever. Look, right there, this last sentence, we can have thoughts about things that have no basis in reality whatsoever. I say mostly people live in their thoughts, and it's a delusional world. Delusional. Illusions. Thoughts are not based in reality. So even this sentence, I don't know if I totally. We can have thoughts about things that have no basis in reality whatsoever. Very, very true. And I'd invite anyone listening to really check for yourself how many of the thoughts you have through each and every day about things in your life, including about yourself, your money, your work, your peers, your partners, your family, your friends, your enemies. How much of it is based in reality? And I would bet not a lot if you really get to the bottom of it. Okay, I'll keep going. Our thoughts come and go, they change, and they can be influenced by our experiences and external factors. They are not a fixed or permanent aspect of who we are. That's a good one, David, that last sentence. They are not a fixed or permanent aspect of who we are. They're not fixed. They're just like clouds passing in the sky. So, if you're not your thoughts, who are you?
Okay, so let's go back to that last statement.
Mhm.
They are not fixed or permanent. However, there is a glue that does bind them in your head. And I'll tell you what that glue is. It's Velcro, basically. It's not glue. The Velcro, it's got hooks and loops, right? So the thing that binds thoughts are emotions. And I've heard it said that emotion is the mother of all addiction. So now you add emotion to thought, and now you have something that changes form because a thought is just a thought until you add a feeling to it. And now, when you have feeling based thoughts, then you have anxiety and you have depression and you have mood swings. And then you seek to balance that out with the opposite kinds of feelings. And this is where the roller coaster begins. And so I'll give you a quote: Your thoughts shape your vision. You see what you choose to see. So if you're a person who is looking for brown, you're always going to see brown. If you know when you play the game on the highway with your kids, look for the white cars. You're always going to see the white cars. You're going to be seeing what you're looking for. Now the question is, why are you predisposed to look for certain things in your life? Why are you predisposed to look and seek out certain things that reinforce certain ideas that you have? Because ideas and thoughts are synonymous, in my opinion.
Yeah, very
And
good.
by the way, you're right.
It's like water seeking its own level.
That's right.
There's something in the background. There's a substance in the background that draws forms. Thoughts are like forms. And magnetically, there's something magnetically. We're attracting certain kind of thoughts. Well, when I say we are, whatever the substance that we're made of. If your substance is made of a lot of fear, you'll have fearful thoughts. If your substance is angry, resentful, bitter, holding grudges, guess what kind of thoughts you might have? that are attracted to that substance, that emotion. Should we keep going? Is that all right if we keep going? Because the next part of it, I like this. It gets super interesting.
Yeah.
Again, this article is by Psychology Today. Here's the next part of it. So, if you're not your thoughts, who are you? You are the observer of your thoughts. The answer is that you are the observer of your thoughts. We all have a level of conscious awareness that observes our thoughts, emotions, and experiences. We are the witness to our lives, the silent observer that watches as our thoughts come and go. Think of it this way. Imagine you're sitting by a river watching the water flow past. Sounds like a meditation that I've led and like
Yes.
that you've led, huh, David?
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
For how many decades? Yeah, think of it this way. Imagine you're sitting by a river watching the water flow past. The water is constantly changing as it moves downstream. You are the observer, the one watching the water flow past. In this analogy, your thoughts are the water and you are the observer. Just as you are not the water in the river, you are not your thoughts. You are the consciousness that observes them. This may seem like a small distinction, but it has profound implications for our lives. When you identify too closely with your thoughts, you can become trapped in them. You can become attached to certain beliefs or ideas, which can lead to suffering when those beliefs are challenged or proven wrong. You can also become overwhelmed by negative or intrusive thoughts, which can impact your mental health and well being. However, when you recognize that you are not your thoughts, you can create distance from your thinking. You can observe your thoughts without getting caught up in them, which can help you stay calm, focused, and centered in the midst of life's challenges. You can also become more aware of the patterns and tendencies of your thinking, which can help you break free from unhelpful or harmful patterns of thought. This doesn't mean that you should ignore your thoughts or dismiss them unimportant. Your thoughts are a valuable source of information and insight, and they can help you make sense of the world, but you don't have to be defined by them. What do you think of that? I wonder about such a statement that this doesn't mean that you should ignore your thoughts, maybe, or dismiss them as unimportant, maybe, but maybe they are unimportant. Maybe your thoughts aren't really rooted in what truly is important to you, what matters most to you. Yeah, and often thoughts aren't related to that. That I've learned that.
The balance here is between two concepts, which is subjective and objective.
Mhm.
So now, if
Yeah.
you're not the thinker of your thoughts, then that is necessarily an objective condition. But if you are being imposed upon by thinking and thoughts, and especially as it said, what Morpheus said in the Matrix is it is the world that's been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
That wool being pulled over your eyes, that world being pulled over your eyes lives in the realm of thoughts. And if you believe in those thoughts in your own head, if you buy into them, you start interacting with them, you're buying into the world or you're buying into that illusion.
Yeah.
When you release those thoughts or just let them come and go like clouds passing in the sky, you have access to truth. But before we get into truth, what's said here, I want to look a little deeper at it, which is your thoughts are a valuable source of information and insight, and they help you make sense of the world. I don't buy that. I think your thinking can be a valuable source of insight. Thinking, but thinking is different than just having thoughts, random thoughts. And so, what this expert is saying here, you got to watch out for these people with degrees. But she's trying, right? She's doing pretty good overall.
She's,
Look, I
she's
love
got
it.
like an 85% so far.
You're generous. Okay, your thoughts are a valuable source of information and insight, and they help you make sense of the world. So your thoughts, I wouldn't trust your thoughts.
Amen.
I know not to trust mine. But there is something about thinking, like rational thinking, thinking through a problem different than just having thoughts. If you trust all those random thoughts, you're in for problemas, I
Okay, so
say.
here let's make a distinction though, because
Mhm.
there are moments where your thoughts are valuable. Okay?
Do you have an example?
Well, yes, let me consider that for a moment because I was going to
Mhm.
make a point, and that
Mhm.
is, where is the wellspring? Okay, see, this is what matters, is the source. What is the source of these so-called thoughts? Now, there's a distinction I have to make here. So first we talked about objective and subjective, right? Now we talk about a form of knowing called intuition, as opposed to knowledge. Because knowledge can be shoved into a computer. I remember reading an article about a supercomputer that was fed the contents of the Bible. And in the end, they asked the computer, "Are you saved?" And it said yes. It knew everything there was to know about that was contained in the Bible. So its natural conclusion would be, of course it was saved, but a computer doesn't need saving. And so my idea is that you don't necessarily need thoughts for everything. As a matter of fact, you could probably do a lot better without probably 90% of the thoughts that you're struggling with all the time, right? Because here's what Buddha said: nothing can harm you as much as your own thoughts unguarded.
Wait, say it again. Nothing can harm you.
Nothing can harm you as much as your own thoughts unguarded.
So thoughts can harm you, right? Unguarded, as Buddha
Yes.
said.
Yes.
And I would say intuition can harm you if your filters are contaminated.
You got it.
If you if you're not living truth, a truthful life,
Mhm.
like if you don't have morals, you don't have ethics, you're not living a truthful life, the thoughts you have, don't trust them. They're part of your problem. It's partly
Yes.
why you're not living a
Exactly.
truthful life. It's
Perfectly
keeping
said.
something intact. Yeah. And same with intuition. If you're following an intuition that's being colored and contaminated by resentment, hate, judgment, fear, denial, truth will actually be found in a counterintuitive place. What I mean by that, if you're following your intuition through a contaminated filter, it will keep leading you down a wrong way, a dark way, a disempowering way. The way out is through truth, and truth will occur as counterintuitive. It will go against your intuition. Your intuition is working, but if you're listening to the wrong thoughts, the wrong voice in the head, the following the intuition that's contaminated, you want to know that.
Yes, and to give an example to that would be, a snake in the grass knows when to strike. See, it has a sort of deep, animal-based, creature-based intuition. That is the kind of intuition that you must be very careful not to follow, because that's an instinctive kind of
Mm.
intuition. Now, the word intuition is a very powerful word because it means the ability to acquire knowledge without recourse to conscious reasoning. So most people do this. They do the weigh and measure thing. Well, let's see if I do this and that will happen.
Yeah, they do the cost benefit
Yes,
analysis, and
exactly,
if
all
you
the
do
time.
that, you've got no integrity. Well, especially if you're doing it around your integrity. Feel like, well, should I tell the
Exactly.
truth? Should I be like honest? Should I? If you're doing that kind of cost benefit analysis, you are at zero integrity or zero conscience in there. Yeah.
Let me expand
Mhm.
on this idea,
Yeah.
because intuition, it branches out into different areas of consciousness. And here's what it said: including and not limited to direct access to unconscious knowing. In other words, this all of a sudden occurs to you, like something occurs to you and it actually happens to be true. And I'll tell you another thing. Have you ever had a thought of a person and then all of a sudden they call you?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
intuitive. That's intuitive, man. You know that they did studies on people with regard to gut feelings. And you know that most of the time, majority of the time, your gut level feelings are almost always right. If you're not your thoughts, who are you? Well, in the matter of speaking, what consumes your mind controls your life. Whatever you give your attention to, your ability to have an intuitive life based on a deeper sense of what makes sense to you, you're handing that over to the outside world. And so now nothing is objective. Everything is subjective. Everything is being poured into you. All you are is a container for the world to pour itself into. And no wonder your life doesn't go the way you think it should.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Okay, let me keep going here. You are the chooser of your thoughts. As the observer, you get to choose which thoughts are true, which thoughts are helpful, which thoughts do I want to respond to, which thoughts do I want to ignore. Being the chooser of your thoughts is where all of your power is in life. To understand being the chooser, it's important to know you have two mental systems that are distinct enough to be referred to as two different brains: the automatic fast brain and the conscious slow brain. Most of our thoughts during any given day come from our automatic fast brain, which is a storehouse of things we've learned in the past. Why can you drive home and not remember getting off the freeway? Because you don't have to think much about it. Your automatic brain has learned the way home and automatically generates the thoughts you need to execute the behavior that gets you there. This thinking happens so quickly, it's often outside of your awareness. This is also the brain that can keep you stuck in old patterns. We also have a more conscious and deliberate mind that we use to make deliberate choices. This is the mind that you use when you have to pay attention and learn something new. It's often referred to as a slow brain because you have to slow down to really focus on doing something you haven't done before. This is the brain you use to observe the automatic thoughts and decide what you want to do about them. The conscious choosing brain is what you use when you want to break out of old automatic patterns of behavior and do something different. It's very good, huh? Do you have anything?
It's very good. Well, I would just offer this to that yeah, I take my dog for a walk, and sometimes I do the same pattern on my walk. So the dog programs into his mind that he thinks he knows which is the next turn, and he tries to lead me. He becomes familiar with a recognizable pattern of the way that I go around in certain circles and certain streets that I turn on and so forth. So sometimes he's leading me down what he expects to be the path that we're going to go on, and I take him in a different direction. And he has to adjust in that moment. In other words, this is the mind, though, of a dog. Just think about it. The dog gets programmed by the way and then he stores that information, right? It's like a GPS. Now, how much of our life is lived on GPS? Because you know what? What it does is if you're living your life on a programmed GPS, what you're doing is removing choices from your life. If you're allowing programming to run everything, then you're not living moment to moment. And even though you're going to make the same turn 1,000 different times, each one of those would be a conscious choice to go down and make that turn. And like just like she said in that article, how is it that you could drive home and not know? Because the fact is, and I said it before, 90% of what you think you really don't need to be thinking. If you're just being objective, you have an instinctive knowing. Do you have to have a thought, oh, it's time to brush your teeth? No, you know that you need to brush your teeth. Is it time to oh, you better get up now. No, you don't need to know. As a matter of fact, I don't even use an alarm clock. I get up 1 minute before 7 if that's what the time I want to get up. My higher self has all the built-in instructions that I need and it's recalled intuitively. That's all I'm saying.
Yep, it's very good. This rarely, if ever, is spoken to in one of my trainings. We do this process that is very powerful, but what it reveals is that thoughts have no correlation to actions.
Mm.
And that's where intuition is contaminated or colored, we could say, because, well, no, my intuition, of course, I think a thought and then I go do it. But that's delusion. That's illusion. That's actually not fact. Neuroscience shows that. The brain actually knows before you even have the thoughts about what it's going to do. It's precognitive. Action is actually precognitive. When you get that, you get a whole other world of life. It's where discipline lies. It doesn't matter what you think about. If you're committed to something, let's say it's just getting on your yoga mat, or running, going for a run, let's say, or doing something a physical activity, you may have all kinds of thoughts. I don't want to do that. But you can walk your feet straight to that yoga mat, or you can walk your feet straight to the door, get your running shoes on and walk straight out. And your mind can be, the thoughts can be fighting the whole time and fighting, no, don't do it. You don't feel like it. All of it, all the stories. You don't have time, but you just do the thing. And then pretty soon you get on the mat and you start moving and breathing, or you start running and you start noticing the thoughts start changing. It's really powerful when you stop listening to thoughts. You start getting the illusion that thoughts really have control of your life, because they don't. They actually don't. You give them power over your life
That's right.
by dwelling in that unreality, but it actually doesn't impact your life. It's what you're doing and not doing.
So an example comes to mind. And my question is, are you a self-driving Tesla?
Yeah, everyone is.
But listen to
For
this.
better or for the worse.
Think about this. A self-driving Tesla runs off of a GPS, right? But you're still the driver. Now, do you abandon your capacity for making decisions to the self-driving aspect of that? Because that's what exactly happens when you give yourself over to thoughts. You allow the program to dictate to you where you're going. And the fact is, that is not consciousness. See, that is just programming. And most people live out their programming because they don't know what else to do. Go back to the Bible. Be still and know. It doesn't say think more and know. It says be still and know. Step back out of it. And you know what Marcus Aurelius said? The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts.
He may be misguided on that. I think he is. He was probably a thinker, an intellectual, a thinker, a philosopher living in the head. If you live in your thoughts, it will determine the quality of your life, and it'll be a low quality of life, a very low level of life and living.
Or like
Yeah.
watching the television when you're channel surfing, you're looking for something, right? So let's just say that you're lazy and you just click the TV on and you sit there and watch. Whatever's coming in that you've allowed to come in, you've allowed it. It's like when you're hungry, you want food. You have a hungry mind.
It's consumption. Yeah, you're a consumer. It's inflow. Inflow is distinct from outflow. I know there's life, there's aliveness, there's vitality, there's inspiration, there's energy in outflowing. When you're outflowing, the more you're inflowing and taking in, you're consuming knowledge, information, social media, news, just too much input. It overwhelms the brain, the being. There's something about emptying your cup on the daily. Let me finish this Psychology Today article. This last part is looks good. I haven't read it yet, so we'll find
Okay.
out. But connecting to your conscious mind. When you're in your conscious mind, that is when you have the awareness that you are the observer and the chooser. So, how can you connect more with this important aspect of yourself? Number one, practice mindfulness. Being mindful helps you to develop greater awareness of your thoughts and emotions and to cultivate a sense of detachment from them. By learning to observe your thoughts without judgment, you can develop a greater sense of inner peace and calm. When it says be mindful, I don't know. Wouldn't it be like I actually want less mind to be mind empty or mind less? So, uh, because my mind is full of thoughts, images, emotion, visions, memories. There's a study that we have. I think it's like 50 or 60,000 thoughts each day, and 90% of those thoughts we had yesterday. They're repetitive, like on repeat, on a loop. The word mindful, I've never liked that word. And I get it the way it's being used here, but I'm just kind of prying in deeper, being a little more rigorous with the language. The word mind is a concept. There's no such thing as mind. Mind is concept. Where's mind? Like, where does that exist? It doesn't actually exist. It's a term. So if you actually get to what exists, well, you've got your physical body. Like, what if you just stop and get present to your body sensations, okay? And then you whatever's going on in your experiences, with billions of experiences in our lives, and who knows how many experiences, probably billions in a day. But if you're just present to what's actually going on in your experience, and that probably includes thoughts, you have thoughts, but you're not your thoughts, okay? You have emotions, but you're not your emotions. You have these images, or you got a voice in your head, but you're none of those things. Maybe those are the things that make up mind that they're talking about, but mind isn't actually a thing. It's a concept. I think if you're observing thoughts, judgments will be in there, and you can develop a greater sense of inner peace and calm. Maybe, maybe it's just being. Maybe you're just dropping into being. And yeah, and maybe there's some peace and calm.
But the thing is that there's usually emotion attached to judgment, and it's usually resentment.
Well, and that's just more emotion, right? Okay, and then number 2 here, limit distractions. Turn off your phone, shut down your computer, and find a quiet space where you can focus on connecting with your thoughts and feelings. So here she's saying on the neck number 2, she's saying limit distractions so you can focus on connecting with your thoughts and feelings, which contradicts the earlier one, which says cultivate a sense of detachment from them. How about connecting to your body? Then notice what's not a part of your body right here. Get connected to your experience and get connected to your body, the physical environment, including your body right here, your pulse. You naturally disconnect from thoughts. It just happens.
Just think of it this way: the thought stream is a stream, and you have to consciously choose to step out of it. Thoughts are not going to go away necessarily, but what you do, you step up on the bank and you watch those things go by, and that means they're not dragging you with them.
Mhm, mhm. This is number 3 on connecting to your conscious mind. Keep a journal. Writing down your thoughts and feelings can help you process them and connect more deeply with your conscious mind. Yeah, that can be valuable to write things out and just kind of sort out different kind of thoughts or things that may be eating at you. I know that that can happen to me sometimes if even at night, if I'm like I notice my mind's being busy, meaning there's I've just got a lot of thoughts. And it maybe I have two things going on that I keep thinking about and they're almost on a loop. The concern I have in the background is I'm going to forget about them tomorrow and they're actually tasks or something I want to do or conversations I need to have. I'll go and just write them down and it actually sorts them out, clarifies it, and then with some actions to take, I get that out on paper. Then I turn the light off again and I'm like out. All that thought stuff's done and handled.
You let it go, you
Let it
do what you
go.
need to do, and you let it go.
And I'm very tactile, kinesthetic. So there's something about the physical, like writing it out, and it's like, yeah, it's just like out and done. And there was some action taken. That's very important. You've got to be at cause. Taking any kind of action can really shift the energy in life. It's amazing like that. Okay, number 4, meditate. Meditation is another powerful tool for connecting with your conscious mind. And I would say with connecting to your God, your creator, or the creator of the universe. By focusing on your breath and quieting your mind, you can access deeper levels of awareness and insight. Number 5, get enough sleep. A lack of sleep can make it difficult to connect with your conscious mind. Make sure you're getting enough sleep each night so that you can be fully present and engaged during the day. Yeah, I guess this is psychology we're talking about. So it's just conscious mind is as good as it gets. But what's missing here is the God factor. That's something greater than your own conscious mind. Conscious mind, great. But then there's something greater than yourself that actually I would go for. Go beyond the puny mind to the God mind. Yeah.
You could meditate on the things that you want. In other words, there's all kinds of different forms of meditation. Some of it's a mantra. You repeat the same thing over and over again. You numb your mind. And then there's the law of attraction where you keep thinking about what you would think and thinking, 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 thinking. And then there's the actual meditation of letting go. And in the statement, be still and know that I am God. That's actually all that's required. If somebody wants to know God, stop thinking, because all that thinking, it's the world, it's the thoughts that have been pulled over your mind to blind you from the truth that you are not God. And when the minute you stop thinking, you have to be responsible for all this stuff because you have this unconscious God complex.
Yeah.
Be still and know there's something greater than you, and it happens automatically, effortlessly.
Yeah, well, very good. Yeah, the thing is that you're either playing God, being God, acting as God, and that's okay, do that. Or you are led by God. You're playing God, or you submit to God, a power greater than yourself. And those are two ways to be with two very different outcomes of ways of life and living. Let's wrap up this article here, the Psychology Today. Connecting more to your conscious mind so that you can be the observer and chooser of your thoughts requires practice and dedication, but the benefits are well worth the effort. By staying in tune with your thoughts and feelings, you can make better decisions, be more creative, and live a more fulfilling life. That's good, really good. Author Janice Vilhauer, PhD, director of Emory University Adult Outpatient Psychotherapy Program in the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Science in the School of Medicine. Yeah, very good, Janice. If I'm saying her name proper, very good. It's a good article. Psychology Today. All right, David, let's wrap it up here. My friend, people share the show. If you got any kind of insight or this conversation allowed for some bigger thinking, please share the show. Send your questions to disruptingthedrift@baronbaptiste.com. David, thank you. Always good to be with you.
Always great, Brian.
Yeah, stay blessed and God bless.